Welcome to STEM Talks. I am your host, Bhuvan Verma. Every human being, Homo sapien on planet Earth, learns how to thrive using tools available around them. The STEM experiment, which has matured in the Western Hemisphere, has helped us understand that when ideologies bind, education liberates. Millennium Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals have taught us that we have to collaborate and identify those without means and help them. At our Robo Siksha Kendra, in the back and beyond of our country, in the inner cities, urban sprawls, students are benefiting from the STEM way of thinking. Today, we have someone very inspiring for you, someone very special, a gem, a girl pursuing STEM from 9,000 kilometers away from us, Dr. Darian S. James. She is a PhD, professional development program scientist at Pfizer, co-founder of STEMming PhowarD, guiding us through various aspects of STEM learning. Hello, Dr. Darian, how are you?
Hello, Bhuvan. I am doing well. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation to come. I am so excited to be here. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the show, Dr. Darian. So diving straight into the questions, our students are curious to know, Dr. Darian, how important is hands-on training for school students?
That's a great question. So hands-on training, I think, is vital for students, especially for those who are younger, because I think seeing is believing, right? Being able to touch and feel what STEM careers have to offer, being able to showcase that in an age-appropriate manner can be life-changing. Honestly, it was for me. I think this gives students the opportunity to tinker with different devices and tools and provide them with an experience that could inspire and motivate them to think outside of the box when they choose their careers.
Wow, fantastic. That really does sum up, the opportunities hands-on training opens up for our students. Okay, so my next question to you is, how does STEM education help students innovate?
Wow, innovation is important, and that's a buzzword that's talked about a lot these days. And I think STEM education fosters problem solving and critical thinking skills. And it challenges students, again, to think outside of the box, to approach problems both in and out of the classroom. And what this ultimately does is it provides a foundation for students to creatively tackle anything they're faced with. And ultimately, that's what innovation is. It's that thinking outside of the box, that creativity. It's not about who's the smartest, but it's about who can accomplish this task, who can think outside of the box and push outside of their norm to create something.
So students, I hope you are taking notes. This is very important stuff that Dr. Darian is mentioning. Creative problem solving is the key to all challenges. Okay, Dr. Darian, to my next question. Can you share one myth or misconception around STEM that you've heard from students you interact with?
First, let me say there are a ton that I have heard. There are too many to name, but if I had to pick just one, I think I will go back to something that I've referenced already, that you have to be smart to major in STEM or to have a STEM career. I think this is the biggest myth or misconception, because what people don't realize is it's important that you have the desire to learn, that you stay open-minded, that you have a strong work ethic, ultimately meaning that you work hard, that you work towards a goal, that you can persevere through obstacles. And one of the most important attributes of this is to ask for help when needed. None of us got to where we are by ourselves. We had to have someone in our corner to support us. And with this organization, you all have that. So being able to ask for help is important.
Absolutely. Asking for help, asking for unknown is most important. Unless we ask students, we will never know. Okay, to my next question, Dr. Darian, can you tell our students what are some of the STEM career choices that our school students can aspire for?
Definitely. There are a lot that are out there. And I want to say that STEM careers are in high demand. And a lot of these careers can fit into different categories. So for scientists, you can be a surgeon, a pharmacist, a dentist, a veterinarian. a journalist, technology, a cloud engineer, an animator, a software developer, a web designer, engineers. You could design or draw buildings or even build the buildings like malls and offices or bridges. For math, financial analysts or statisticians where you're doing statistics on things. So there's a lot to choose from. Feel free to reach out to me if you want to explore that a little bit more.
Fantastic. You said it so poetically, so in rhythm. I think students, you must pause the video, go back and jot down all the options that Dr. Darian has mentioned. And of course, students of humanities needn't disparage, because geography, history, human ecology, also use statistics that Dr. Darian has mentioned. So please go out there and Google it. And yes, you can also write to Dr. Darian with our permission, of course. Okay. So to my next question from my students often work in teams and they're always curious to learn from leaders like you. What is that one must attribute of a team player?
Yes, working in teams is very realistic in the real world, in industry and government, no matter what career field that you choose. So I think the must attribute would be an effective communicator. People may think, oh, that's a simple one, but you want to be clear and concise when speaking verbally or when you're writing. Nonverbal communication is important. That means your posture, your facial expressions, whether you miss a meeting or you come on time, that's important. That's a part of communication. You want to be empathetic and understand where others are coming from. And active listening, I'll mention that. So active listening is where you're listening to understand and not listening just to respond. So these are all key in being an effective communicator. And it not only benefits you personally, but it creates a great environment for your team and you are more productive.
Wow, Dr. Darian, thank you so much for sharing such a comprehensive answers. Students will benefit from learning so many facets of teamwork and a role a team person can play. Wow. Okay, to my next question, and my students are really curious to learn from you. Is there any tool or technology that you took long time to master?
Definitely. That's a great question. I think ultimately one thing I will say is that you will face challenges. You will not learn everything very, very quickly, and it's okay. So for me, it was a coding language. I was learning how to code in a certain language, and I am a fast learner, but this language took a long time to master. And I think a part of it was because I didn't have all of the tools or the information that I needed to learn the basics. And that I think was key. So when I was taught how to program in this language, I started from the end when I should have started at the beginning. And so what that did for me is it put me behind my classmates. So what did I do? I went on Google, I searched it, I looked at YouTube to figure out how can I get those basics that were missing. And I did. And I began to love the language, because at first I didn't love it because I didn't appreciate those minute or small details that you needed to end up coding in that language.
Wow, certainly that is the way to go. Thank you, Dr. Darian, for sharing the pathway to learning by, learning in small bits and then breaking down the problem very beautifully and succinctly put. Thank you so much. Okay, to my next question, our students are curious to know, which is your favorite STEAM subject and why?
Oh, that's a good one. So it's tough too, because all of these subjects are vitally important, no matter whether you major in science, engineering is just as important, art is just as important. So all of these are extremely vital and important to our day-to-day life. But I'm gonna pick two. Hopefully that's okay, Bhuvan. So yes. For me, I would say science and engineering. And the reason is because that is something that science and engineering, I feel like I touch that every day. I am walking science, right? My DNA is a part of science. In terms of engineering, the phones that we touch were made by scientists and engineers. And also technologists and artists and mathematicians were involved as well. But I would say my favorite two are STEM and engineering, because they challenge me to think outside of the box and approach problems differently.
Certainly, certainly. And they certainly cover the two extreme spectrum, the theory part of things and the action part of things. It helps you, both of them help you realize the physical or virtual nature of certain theories. Certainly, my students are going to explore more on these subjects. Okay, to my next question, can you help our students understand how does STEM education help them learn about leadership?
STEM education fosters leadership in you're able to work in those teams. I think that's one of the most important, because typically in teams, you do have people who take leadership roles, or there's a captain of a team sometimes, but those other individuals also are being developed into leaders because of their communication skills, because of what they're attributing to the team or what contribution they're making to that team. Also, I think whenever you're doing robotics and other things of that sort, you're taking on and learning skills that others don't have. And ultimately that can contribute to your leadership skills. And so then you're able to effectively communicate, you're able to delegate tasks, you're able to understand problems and break them down, which all are important for leadership.
Absolutely. So all the teams who are going to contest for World Robot Olympiad, your teams and team leaders, this is a strict mantra for you, must follow, okay, to succeed. Okay, to my next question then, Dr. Darian, can you help our students learn that what is that one STEM intervention that you want for your hometown?
So one STEM intervention I want for my hometown is actually a STEM museum. Ultimately, in this museum, there would be robotics, there would be, let me say, STEAM intervention. I'll say that. There would be attributes of each category that allow students to understand what these careers mean and to showcase to them exactly how you can build a phone from scratch, or how you can design something from scratch, or how you can approach problems and think differently. I think ultimately in underrepresented populations, a lot of times we are not exposed to some of these things. And so ultimately I would want this STEM museum to allow students of all backgrounds to come and to learn about STEAM and to understand, and maybe even choose to someday have a STEAM career.
Absolutely, Dr. Darian. If we get an opportunity, our Robo Siksha Kendra centers are exactly what you have envisioned. Our students not only go there to learn, but they interact with artifacts which can be touched, unlike in a real museum. So, okay, moving on to my next question, Dr. Darian. Our students want to learn from you. How do you deal with failure or rejection?
That is a great question. I think it's a great technique to learn how to do, because it can be difficult. Failure or rejection is inevitable, meaning that it's going to happen no matter what. So for me, I changed my way of thinking. I don't think about it as failure or rejection, because ultimately what that means for me is that maybe I needed to try harder or do something differently. Maybe that means that opportunity was not for me. Maybe I applied for a job or a scholarship and I didn't get it. But that doesn't mean that I'm not smart. That doesn't mean I'm not capable. That just means that that opportunity was for someone else, and it's okay. Oftentimes, whenever we don't get an opportunity, it could be that something greater is beyond. Something greater is following that opportunity that you thought you really wanted. Maybe you wouldn't have want to work with those individuals who were trying to give you that job, or the individuals who are the managers who posted that job. So you never know why you didn't get something. I think just reframe your thinking so that you understand that this is a part of life, and it teaches you lessons, and it teaches you how to overcome these obstacles that you may face.
Wow. Beautifully articulated gospel for my students, that opportunities, they keep arriving up and appearing. We have to make the best out of it. Thank you so much for, putting it so beautifully for my students. Okay, so to my last question to you, my students are curious to learn, Dr. Darian, what is the most important attribute of a STEM student that a STEM student needs?
I think most people might think I'll say that you have to be really smart, you have to love math or science, or you have to have family members or friends who majored in this or have careers. That's not my answer. My answer would be perseverance. You have to be able to push through the obstacles. You have to get comfortable being uncomfortable so that you can challenge yourself. I think that in terms of being a STEAM major or having a STEAM career, ultimately it's about getting through it, right? You have to get through it in order to land that career. And so you have to be resilient, which means you have to push through anything that you're faced with. And again, that support system can help you do that. Even if they don't have experience in it, they can help you. Lean on those individuals and lean on the individuals who are providing these opportunities for you as well, because they're here for you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Darian. Today we learned that that you can control what will by answering what is. At Robo Siksha Kendra, we not only learn from new experiences, but also learn to heed the lessons. We realize that the path to transformation is through an open mind to new experiences. Today, data science, machine learning, STEM way of thinking is helping us take control of our destiny. We thank Dr. Darian for her valuable insights on how we can benefit from the STEM way of thinking. I thank all students who are sharing this video with their parents and peers. And till the time we open a Robo Siksha Kendra near you, keep tinkering. Namaste.